Hello friends, in this video I am going to discuss about the topic of array of objects in C++ programming. Program in the current workspace, this is the workspace, will open the program in the under the workspace. So let's go to the folder in which the program is being saved. So the program is saved in this folder in the C++ subdirectory, and under that array of objects, and we go to, there are so many names, so many files here. There are two folders bin and obj. There are four files: array of objects.cbp.depend, array of objects.layout, main. I will just double click this array of objects.cbp, array of objects.cbp. So let's double click that. See, the program is open now under the workspace given over here. So let's discuss the program. First, we have to give the file inclusion directive #include iostream. After that, we write using namespace std. Now I have declared a class, a user defined data type, a sort of user defined data type, a class, and the class name has been given as student. It contains two data members and two member functions. Data members are member variables declared over here. One of them is a character array. The name of the data member is name, and another is an integer variable, which is the int age. That is, it is an integer data type. So one thing is to be explained in this thing is that we didn't supply any sort of access specifier above these two variables. There is no access specifier defined over here. So access specifier, if that is not defined explicitly, by default in C++ programming paradigm, it is assumed to be, it is taken to be rather, of the private category. There are three categories of access specifiers or visibility modifiers. One is private, another is public, another is protected. In this example, I didn't give any sort of access specifier explicitly over the name of the variable declaration. So it is considered to be a private access specifier or visibility modifier. So these two member variables, char name 30 and int age, fall under the private access specifier of the class student. After that, under the public section, I have given the prototype. I have declared two functions. One is getData, void getData, and another is void putData. These two functions are not defined inside the class. It will be defined outside the class by the help of the statement void student scope resolution operator. This is the scope resolution operator. This is the function name getData, then opening and closing parenthesis. Now under this, what we see over here, the getData function is a member function of the class student. So since we are defining this getData function outside the class, we need to write it in this fashion. We need to define the getData function in this fashion. That is, the return type void. Nothing is to be returned from the getData function, hence the return type is void. The name of the class we have to supply the name of the class, that is the student, and getData and student are separated by an operator which is called the scope resolution operator, which helps us to know that this getData function is a member function of the class student. And after that, inside the function body, I have written a few lines. They are very simple. Cout enter name, end line endl. Endl is a manipulator which helps us to put a new line after this expression statement, after this expression rather. Now this, after this we give an input by means of this statement cin, insertion operator, extraction operator rather, very sorry, cin extraction operator name, cout has the operator called insertion operator, cin has an operator of called the extraction operator. So we give this name from the keyboard by means of this statement cin extraction operator name. After that I have written cout enter age. Similarly I have input the age by means of this line cin extraction operator age. Now we go to the next member function, void student scope resolution operator put data. Here we have written in this manner, that is cout name is name endl. So this will come as name is suppose xyz, age is age, means age is suppose 10 or something like that. Now we come to the main section. Main section is defined by int main, under which we create an array of objects. So this is the creation of the array of objects. So this is the topic of discussion of this video. So this is nothing but the array of objects. I'm just writing a comment beside this so as to make it clear to you. Array of objects. So this is the array of objects which has been created. I have named the array as S, having a dimension 3. So I've taken the dimension of 3 means I will deal with the data of 3 students. If you want to deal with data of more than 3 students, like 10 students, 20 students, you have to write the dimension in the corresponding manner. So in this case I have taken 3 students. I will deal with 3 students, so that for that I have taken the dimension of this array of objects student S to 3. Now after that I have written loop construct, or for loop construct, in which is a very simple, fairly simple for loop construct which has reads like this: for int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. Inside the block I have written enter details of student number, insertion operator I plus 1 endl. Suppose if the I starts from 0, in order to make it user friendly, in order to make the output to be user friendly, I have taken this I plus 1, because student number 0 makes no sense to a layman who runs the program, who executes the program. For the programmer it is okay that student number 0 means the student number 1, but for a person who is not familiar with the C++, with the programming principles, for that person to execute the program, for the end user to execute the program, we need to write student number 1 for student number 0, student number 2 for student number 1, student number 3 for student number 2, and so on and so forth. For student number 0, for end user, it will be student number 1. For student number 1, that is in the array index position 1, that will be for the end user I plus 1, that is student number 2. For student number 2, for the end user it will be student number 3 likewise. And in this way, if we have more and more students to be dealt with, we will just increment the I value by unity in order to make it understandable for end users who are not familiar with the programming methodology. So I have written I plus 1 for that. After that I have written this line si.getData. So this si.getData means, first for I is equal to 0, it will be s0.getData. GetData function will be invoked. This function will be invoked. The end user will be allowed to enter the name and age of that student number 0. That means student number 1 for the end user. After that, I plus plus increments the value of I by unity, and then Again, this enter details of student number 2 will come to the console, which will allow the end user to enter the details, that is the name and age of the student number 1 for the array of objects, but student number 2 for the end user by this line si.getData means s1.getData. So again, this getData function will be invoked. The end user will be allowed to enter the name and age of the student number. For the third time, this loop will run, because the loop is declared in that manner, I is equal to 0, I less than 3, so that we can take the details of 3 students, because we are dealing currently with 3 students in this example. And in this way, this loop helps us to get the input of the details of the 3 students from the standard input device. After that, we put a new line. We come to another for loop construct for the display of the details entered by the user by this for loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus, cout details of student number I plus 1, very similar to the previous statements, enter details of student number I plus 1. So details of student number I plus 1 endl, and after that si dot put data, that means s0 dot put data for the first run, for the first iteration. For the second iteration, it will become s1 dot put data. For the third iteration, it will become s2 dot put data. In this way, we will be able to print, or we will be able to display the details, that is the name and age of the 3 students entered by the end user by the help of the getData function, and this display thing will be handled by the putData function, which has been defined above the main block, that is name endl, then age is age. After that, we are left with only one statement, return 0, and then the closing brace of the main block is encountered. So let's now go to build and run. So this is the build and run. See this, build and run. So build and run means we are going to build this program and run the program, or execute the program in order to see if it runs. So please, you click on this build and run. See, one console will be opened in front of you. So here we see enter details of student number 1. Suppose I am giving an enter details of student number 1. Student number 1 is, suppose, Rim. Enter age, suppose 11. Now comes enter details of student number 2. Suppose it is Srimayi. Enter age, suppose it is 11. Enter details of student number 3. Suppose it is Shravani. After that, enter age, suppose it is 12. Now we'll see, we'll just press the enter once and see the output will be displayed in the manner as we would have expected from this program. So let's just maximize this window, and now press this enter. See, details of student number 1, name is Rim, age is 11. Details of student number 2, name is Srimai, age is 11. Details of student number 3, name is Shravani, age is 12. So the program runs in a fantastic manner. This has no errors or warnings in this program. In this way, we have implemented the concept of array of objects in the C++ programming. It's a fairly simple program to be dealt with. But if you have any doubts and queries pertaining to this entire example which I have explained in this video, you can well post your queries and doubts into the comment section below so that I can address them. Thanks for watching this video.